How's it going, guys? I'm CTM Amygdala, and welcome back to another Call of Duty Warzone video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the current meta for Warzone, and right now is actually a really good time because there are a lot of weapons that are viable, so you can really play with and test out different weapons, but I'm going to be going over the ones that are more on the useful side. And this is still going to be about half the guns in the game because, like I said, there are a lot of them out there. It's really probably more balanced right now than it has been possibly ever in the game's history. So it's a really good time for Warzone. And if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to click that like button and also don't forget to subscribe. Alright guys, so now I'm going to go through all the guns here. And I'm going to start off with the assault rifles. So the AK-47 Black Ops version is, personally, I don't like it because of the recoil, but I do have a couple of friends that really like this gun. So I would definitely say that this one's usable if you put the correct recoil attachments on it. The FFAR is actually a monster up close. I would say this is one of the best guns in the game right now for close range. If you're close to medium, if you're not going for an SMG. I do have multiple class setups with this gun. As I said, I really like it. This one I don't really use too much. The Groza is another pretty good close range weapon or close range assault rifle. I don't think it compares to the FFAR, but it is still a really good option. The Krig is a very strong longer range assault rifle. So if you're looking for something that can down people more at range, this is probably a good go-to, and I'd recommend trying this one out. The AS Val actually has the fastest time to kill in Warzone. So this is a good gun that I would pick up if you're looking for something more close to medium range, because it really does start to drop off at longer ranges. The Ram 7 is another really strong gun for Warzone. This is actually the gun that I got my very first win ever on Warzone with, and I still think it holds up pretty well in the current meta. It's got a high recoil but high damage output, so the time to kill on this thing is pretty good, I would say. Scar I would never use. All of those are pretty much useless. The M13 is another one that you could try using. This one is a faster fire rate, lower recoil weapon. So it's usually better for close to medium range as well. As you can see, that's pretty much a trend with the assault rifles. The Kilo's okay now. It used to be one of the best guns in the game, but it did get a damage range reduction. So it is now actually the worst assault rifle in terms of range, but up close to medium, it is still decent. It's not like the best. Like I would definitely go with the FFAR over pretty much any of these, except this one's still a viable option. The Grau is the one that I'm going to be using most, and the reason for this is because it's got long range potential, whereas the FFAR doesn't. Well, it's also like a laser beam. This gun has extremely low recoil, and then you can put attachments on it that make its recoil even better than it already is. So I would say between all of these assault rifles and the CR AMAX, this is another really strong one. This one has the highest damage potential out of all the assault rifles, and it doesn't drop off too bad with range. So this one's another really strong. I know a lot of people that swear by this gun, and the M4A1 is another decent one that I would say is usable in the current meta. This is another one that I got a lot of early wins with when the game first came out, and I feel like it has a high fire rate, which is good, and the recoil is very manageable on this gun, and it's also better at longer ranges as well. So if you're looking for a longer range assault rifle, I'd probably go with the M4A1, the AMAX if you can control its recoil, and the Grau, and the Krig. So those are probably your better longer range assault rifles from this class. And then close range, I would almost always go with the FFAR. It's just going to outperform all the other assault rifles at close range. And the AMAX, I would say out of all these, the best 3 assault rifles are probably the AMAX, the Grau, and the FFAR, because they each have their own specific spot. Like the FFAR is really good close range, close and medium, whereas the Grau is probably the best for longer range and high accuracy, whereas the AMAX is the best for damage and high time to kill. So, but the thing with the AMAX is it's got very high recoil. I personally don't use it because I'm not good with the recoil control on this gun. But if you're a player who can really control recoil and wants a good time to kill, I would definitely try out the AMAX. Now for SMGs, for these, I would say the AK-74U is a pretty good option. I've heard that it does have a pretty decent time to kill. Personally, my go-to is the Bullfrog. And this is probably the main SMG and secondary in general that I use. And I do know that this is a pretty unpopular pick, but this gun deletes really quickly, and it also has an extremely large ammo capacity, as you can see from the barrel of the gun. And you can put attachments on it that give it 60 rounds and doesn't hinder the movement speed too much. So I do really like this gun, and I'll probably have some gameplay of it later in the video. The MAC-10 is another extremely strong weapon that I see a lot of people using. I do feel like the Bullfrog deletes a little bit quicker, and its accuracy is a little bit higher too for the Bullfrog, so that's why I prefer it over the MAC-10. But I do know a lot of people that really like the MAC-10 because it does have a very high fire rate with good damage. The MP5 for both Black Ops and Modern Warfare are both very strong options. That's not the MP5, but both of the MP5s are very good. They both do pretty good damage and have a decent fire rate, so I would say those are both good for the meta too if you do want to try them out. The P90 is a very fast-firing weapon. Its recoil, I believe, is manageable, so this is another one that I would recommend trying out. And the Fennec is really good for solo and duos, but the thing with this gun is it has a very small ammo capacity, and it just shreds through bullets. So if you're going into trios or squads, I would not recommend using this gun because you're going to find yourself reloading a lot. But if you're more of a solo player, I'd really recommend trying this one out. MP7 is pretty good. I'd still say it stacks up there in standard multiplayer, but for Warzone, I just don't use it because I think there are much better options. And that's really going to wrap it up for the SMGs. For the shotguns, the Street Sweeper is the only one that I'd really recommend using right now because the meta is usually mostly assault rifles and submachine guns at the time of making this video. But the Street Sweeper is a Black Ops gun that I currently do not have unlocked, but it can delete people really quickly. It is a semi-auto shotgun, so you can just burn through ammo really quickly. For the LMGs, I'd recommend the Stoner and the Bruin. And that is because the Bruin, you can put a 60 round mag on it, which makes it a lot better handling and you can move around faster, and it's also got some pretty good time to kill and damage along with fire rate. And the accuracy on this gun is LMG accuracy, so you're still getting a pretty good straight shot with the thing. And I do know a lot of people who still use the Bruin as their main, so I'd recommend checking that one out. And then the Stoner is another strong, high damage, high range weapon, and I know a lot of people that like this one also. Now for the tactical rifles, personally, the AUG I would say is one of the top 5 guns in the game. I also have a lot of classes with the Black Ops AUG, and this is a 3-round burst, almost like assault rifle. It is a lot better at close range, and because it does have some pretty nasty bullet drop on it, so I wouldn't try and use it too much for longer ranges, but at close range this thing instantly deletes people. It has a very fast fire rate, so in between bursts you can get them out really quickly. And I find myself winning a lot of close range gunfights with this gun, even up against like MAC 10s and stuff, so I definitely recommend giving this one a try for more close range combat. The M16 is another 3-round burst weapon, except this one is almost opposite of the AUG. This one is more for longer range, and you'll see yourself losing more gunfights up close, however, which is why I don't use it, because I'm more of a push-in type of person, so I definitely prefer the AUG myself, but I would recommend using both of them, because with this one, it's a little bit slower, but the bullet velocity on it goes a lot quicker, so it will feel a lot more like hit scan, kind of, whereas the AUG, you'll really need to start leading your shots at those longer ranges. And then the DMR is the DMR. The DMR is still very usable, and this was one time, like not too long ago, the best gun in the game. A lot of people complained about it, so it did get a little bit of a nerf, but it is still very good, and you can still use it and do pretty good with it. So now for the marksman rifles, I'd recommend using the CAR. This is really the only one that I would say is viable out of these. I'm personally not a sniper, so I don't have much to say about it, but it has very fast handling, and you don't have to lead your bullets that much. The snipers, same thing, not much of a sniper, don't really know too much about these. However, I do know that the HDR is the best sniper, maybe alongside the Tundra. I know that the Tundra is the best sniper in Black Ops Cold War multiplayer, because I do snipe in there. So you can see I have them all maxed out. But I'm not too sure how it performs in Warzone. But I do know that the HDR is definitely a good go-to between the 3 or 4 Modern Warfare snipers, because it does have the highest damage, and you can also make this thing pretty accurate. And the recoil is also very controllable on it. Riot Shield's Riot Shield, you can always use this wherever you want to. And then honestly, I would just run Overkill. You really don't need a secondary, because a lot of the secondary weapons in this game aren't very good. I am running the Diamotes, but that is just a class that I would pick up my second loadout, and then I just grab my other primary gun and replace for the Diamotes. Even though these are the best pistols, so if you really want to run a secondary, I would recommend going with the Diamotes, because they can delete pretty quickly. And I also think the Diamante is one of the best ground loot weapons in the game after the FAR, the FFAR.
You're not dead yet.
Enemy dropping into the AO. Enemy soldier incoming. Enemy soldier incoming. Watch the skies.